Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is D-Free, and welcome back to yet another Dragon Ball Super discussion video in which today we will be discussing Vados and Whis, and whether or not those two in particular are just too strong. And joining me here today is a guy that's been making a lot of appearances on my channel. You know, a guy, like I said, he's the realest guy on the internet, a guy that just truly doesn't need an introduction, but here I am giving him a heartfelt one. Go ahead and say what's up, man.
Thanks for having me again, D-Free. It's a reel-to-reel, Mark. Definitely always a pleasure.
No, definitely. So basically, like I said, guys, we're going to be talking about Vados and Whis, and we're going to give you guys a bit of an alternate perspective. Now, when you look at Dragon Ball Super, you say, okay, well, we started with Battle of Gods, we moved through Resurrection F, and here we are at the Champ arc, okay? Now, let's talk about antagonists and villains in the series. When you look at Battle of Gods, okay, I try to imagine that from a first person's view, like, you know, you haven't seen the movie, you're just watching the series, and that's kind of how it was intended to be seen. So, you know, looking at it from that perspective, you say, okay, well, Beerus is a complete savage. He's epic. You know, he starts off the first couple episodes just blowing up planets because he doesn't like the food or whatever, you know, it's like, he's epic, okay? So he comes to Earth, and then from there, what happens is, you know, he basically has the premonition for the Super Saiyan God. He goes through the ritual, you know, he basically kicks Goku's ass, and he's like, okay, I won't destroy your planet. Okay, so he seemed like a bad guy, but, you know, towards the end of the movie, you know, Goku rubbed off on him, and he was like, yo, I'm not gonna do that. So then we move into Resurrection F, and we're looking at Frieza again, and honestly, looking at Frieza's saga the same way you look at the Beerus saga, you say, okay, well, oh, Frieza got powerful, how, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's a bit of an inconsistency, it doesn't matter, but he still basically comes in here, and he's officially our first real villain of the series, because Beerus is more of a neutral character, okay? He's a god of destruction, he does what he needs to do, it's basically his job. Not to say he doesn't enjoy blowing up shit, but it's his job, so he kind of gets a pass. But you get Frieza, who's basically out for revenge against Goku and Trunks, and honestly, you know, you get the sense that Frieza was just gonna fail, okay? So he was fighting an uphill battle the whole time. And whether or not you want to agree, Whis and Beerus were still there on the sidelines. Obviously, they played a role in it because Whis did the temporal do-over, whatever he calls it, to where he allowed Goku to actually get the victory over Frieza. So while they're neutral characters, obviously they still have some sort of involvement because Whis used his ability to turn back time. So basically we have Frieza, who was, once again, somebody that was doomed to lose from the start and wound up losing, and now we're in the Champa arc, okay? This is all fun and games, we're at a tournament, and, you know, we still don't have a true, legitimate villain. So when you look at this, and I'm getting into the topic a little late, but I felt like it was important to summarize that, when you look at the Champa arc, okay, you say, well, you know, there's theories about Hit being a bad guy, coming in, stealing Dragon Balls, whatever, doing woo-woo-woo, but I'm not too into that, because when I say, all right, that's cool and all, I feel like, once again, these guys are on the sidelines, Vados and Whis, even Beerus and Champa for that effect, you know, they're on the sidelines, and, you know, this is about those guys. It's not about our contestants, it's about Beerus and Champa. So to say that somebody's gonna come in and steal their wish, just that specifically, I really don't like that idea, because it's like, that's implying that this person would be stronger than these other characters, and that there in itself is the main issue with this, because when you look at Vados and Whis and you look at the Toriyama scale of like 10s, 15s, 7, 8s, whatever, you say these guys are basically, you know, looking down at everybody else. They're so freaking strong. How can you, and Mark, this is the question to you, I want you to kind of jump in here in a second. How can you, as a storyteller, find a way to introduce a new character that would actually be able to rival these characters that, like I said, are head and shoulders above everybody else in the series at this point? How can you introduce a character that would be able to feel antagonizing and be threatening without having these guys here? Because I feel like, you know, in the back of your minds, while Goku's getting his ass kicked because this guy's stronger than him, that's perfectly fine. You can still think to yourself, well, we've still kind of got these other two guys here in case things really, you know, shit really hits the fan. They can kind of just jump in and just end it. So how can you look at those guys as something that's not like a crutch, Mark? How do you think that all works out?
Well, like you said before, I feel like this is, and all Dragon Ball Super has ever really been, is nothing but fun and games for both just the characters and the audience as possible. Dragon Ball's been around for like 30 plus years at this point. Toriyama's really kind of getting up there in the age limit, and he's I feel like he's just kind of come up with a story that's not really antagonizing at all. It's not Dragon Ball Z. It's not even the end of Dragon Ball. It's literally just the beginning of Dragon Ball, where, you know, the biggest threat they have was the Pilaf and his gang. It's not really, you know, those guys were never going to get the win, ever. They, you know, those guys are just kind of a joke, nothing but a joke the whole way through. And kind of the same way about this entire Universe 6 team, besides Hit, who, he might be the guy coming in. I mean, obviously he could be the guy, but I really doubt it because, first of all, like I said, if you look at the preview for the episode coming on later today, it's Saturday, by the way. I don't know when you're going to post this, but if you look at the episode preview for episode 36 that's coming on today, obviously it doesn't actually look like Hit actually killed Frost. And why? How is Hit a bad guy if he won't even kill Frost, who has been like planning to take his swag that he was actually going to get from the tournament? Obviously, those guys don't care about the Super Dragon Balls at all. And I know he's a hitman. He could be working for someone, and maybe that's how you like bring it in. Is like, oh, he was hired by someone to actually do this. But why would Whis let them sneak up on him? Because if there's one thing that we've seen in episode 35 and episode 34, like in tandem, is the fact that we have Vados coming over here, and she obviously knows who Frost is. She obviously knows who Hit is. She knows who everyone on her team is. She knows their story. She knows their like power. She knows she's gathered the 5 people from around Universe 6 that she thought was going to be good enough to actually win this tournament. Whether she's right or not, we've yet to see. But just to answer your question, I honestly don't think that we're actually going to get anything. I don't honestly think that this story can like properly introduce a character that isn't already been introduced and have a satisfying antagonist other than anyone we know. Like, it can't be Hit. I know you have your thoughts on this. I think it could be Vados, but who knows? Like, that's yet to be seen. It's completely out of left field when it comes to anything Toriyama's ever written in the past. He doesn't do these long cons type of storytelling and everything. He doesn't lull us into a sense of type of security that like this person isn't evil until he like, oh, pull the rug out from under you, so like Aizen type of thing on Bleach. Like, she's probably not evil. So honestly, I think they're gonna fight. My personal theory is that Universe 6 is gonna win the tournament, and that's just gonna be the end of it. Like, I think that is like, there's no one that can rival those two.
Yeah, and that's basically the point of this video, is, like I said, to bring an alternate perspective, because while it is fun having those stronger characters there, I mean, it's awesome. You know, you kind of see them as like a benchmark for Goku and Vegeta training and trying to get to that level or whatever the case is. In the back of your mind, no matter what happens in the back of your mind, unless they're completely incapacitated, they're knocked out or whatever, you're always going to look at those guys as like a last resort, a contingency plan, where it's like, well, Goku could lose, Vegeta could lose, everybody could lose, but at the end of the day, this guy is still going to lose because these guys are still here. You know what I'm saying? How can you really, at this point, because like I said, they're so strong and powerful, how can you really introduce somebody into this type of series that would be able to be a legitimate threat? It would have to be somebody on that same level. It would have to be somebody there. But then if you introduce somebody on that level, that basically devalues these guys, because they're supposed to be this strong because they're the trainers of basically the strongest people in the universe, the gods of destruction. If you introduce somebody on that level, okay, it devalues the importance of a Vados and a Whis, and it says, well, you know, you don't have to be some mystical being called a Whis or whatever to be this powerful. You can just be a regular guy. Like, I personally, like I told you, I don't ever think Goku and Vegeta will ever achieve that level of power. Fusion, obviously, they'd probably be able to get there, but just individually, I don't see it happening. I see them tapping out somewhere around Beerus, maybe a little stronger, and that's perfectly fine, and that's how it should be, though, because they're supposed to be this omnipotent type of being that's just head and shoulders above everybody else in the series. And I think that at the end of the day, having those guys, while they're fun, like I said, while power is awesome, having those guys there, they're honestly a crutch and a detriment, because it borderline makes it impossible to introduce somebody that can really be a true villain, which, you know, that may not be something that Super is really going for. That may not be something that they're actually trying to do. Like you said, it's a lighthearted show, and I'm cool with that, but at some point, I feel like there needs to be some sort of tension. They've had moments where they've tried to play up the tension, like in the Resurrection F saga, whenever they blew up the planet and they showed everybody's like, I thought that was a really good touch, by the way. They showed like all the flashbacks. They showed like Videl and Pan. They showed Marin and 18. I thought that was really, really cool how they did that. And they tried to play up the tension, and I thought that was really cool how they did that. But I just, once again, I try not to be subjective of it because we know how things went from the movie. But I honestly can say unequivocally that if I had just seen that and not seen the movie, I still would have just been like, it's not going to end here. The planet's not going to blow up because it's Dragon Ball. The planet's not going to just be blown up. Everybody's not going to be dead. It's Dragon Ball. It's just not how it goes, So it just was unimposing in that sense. But that's basically the main point of the video from my perspective, man.
Okay, but just going off, like, one more thing to say about this in terms of power scaling and Goku and Vegeta actually jumping up to a level beyond that of Whis and Vados. If we look at Toriyama's own admission from the story perspective about how much stronger Whis is to that of Goku or Vegeta or even Beerus, it's actually really weird because like that wouldn't be like necessarily the biggest jump that we've ever seen in terms of, in terms of raw power, it definitely would be. But when we're talking about the last like definitely known power scaling that we actually have that makes any type of real sense in Dragon Ball is back on the fight with Frieza on Namek. And we know that like while Frieza was like somewhere in like the 120 millions, Goku literally went from like 3 million where he was just getting played with to like a 50 times multiplier to like 150 million. And I believe that's right, but you can quote me. But that's like a 50 times multiplier, and we were completely okay with it then. But now we're just talking about something like, okay, a 2 times multiplier of what they have now, and we're all just like, and I think a lot of the fan base would be like, absolutely not. Are you serious? Like, it's crazy because like they have already, and I think the one thing when we look at how strong Whis is, how strong Vados is, Champa and Beerus, the thing is I think the one thing Super did to like basically shoot itself in the foot in terms of how powerful these people are is the universe busting thing we saw at the beginning of Super. They haven't really ever brought that back again. Like obviously like somehow like Goku was able to match the power, even though that's what I thought he was doing it in the first place. He was just matching the power of Beerus, and like that was what was crumbling the earth, but apparently that wasn't what it was. I mean, if you know that, just I don't know. But the thing is how can they get that much stronger and not put like all 12 universes in jeopardy? And then how do you